Hi, I'm Jason from Present Tense Fitness, and I'm going to be walking you through 5 movement patterns that you can put together to make yourself a full body workout. But before we begin, I should say, if you've never worked out in your life before, do yourself a favor, talk to your doctor, and make sure that you're able to exercise safely, okay? So with that out of the way, the 5 movement patterns we're going to be talking about are the squat or the lunge, a vertical press, a vertical pull, a horizontal press, and a horizontal pull. Let's get started. The first exercise I'm going to show you is a squat or a lunge. And we're showing that to you first by design because you should put that first in your workout. Generally, we do the most difficult exercises first when you're freshest and when your central nervous system is most ready for movement and action. When a client comes in and I'm going to teach them to squat, the first thing we talk about is feet placement. So a lot of times people think that their feet have to be forced forward. Everyone's natural squat position is different. So one easy way to find your natural squat position is to kind of rock back on your heels and then see where your feet land. So as you can see, my feet are slightly turned outward, and that's totally fine. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down. I want to make sure that my knees stay in the same direction as my feet, and I want to make sure that my feet maintain 3 points of contact. So the ball of the foot, the outside of the foot, and the heel all should stay firmly on the ground. So I'll show you incorrectly first so you can get a feel for that. One of the faults that we'll see in a squat often is somebody will squat down and their heels will lift off the ground. So you can see here, heel lifts. Sometimes people will say like, oh, I can't squat because it hurts my knees. And it hurts their knees because they're squatting and putting all that torque onto the knee. So make sure that your heels are down. Another thing you'll see sometimes is they'll collapse inward. So there's 2 problems with this. Number 1, I'm putting some shearing forces on my knees there, and then I'm not in a stable position because the outside of my foot is lifting off the ground. All right, so we start with the feet. I'm gonna rock back, find my foot position. As I drop down, knees stay in the same direction as my feet, and if I can, I'm gonna drop my hips below my knees, keeping my torso upright. That is a squat. And honestly, if you've never worked out before, just doing that 10 times and resting will be your workout. So 3 sets of 10 of body weight squats. And don't be upset if you can't drop hips below knees, your range of motion just may not be there yet. All right, but let's say that you can do 10 body weight squats without pain and it feels okay. Then you can use a weight. So I'll show you how to do a goblet squat. So we're gonna hold the kettlebell here, same foot placement, keeping my torso upright, knees moving in the same direction as my feet, and I'm gonna drop down and up. You may not have a kettlebell, so you can do a goblet squat with a dumbbell. Chances are if you're working out in a hotel gym or a regular chain gym, they're most likely to have dumbbells instead of kettlebells. And then obviously you can use a barbell as well, but that's a bit more of an advanced move. So if you've never worked out before, putting a bar on your back may not be the safest thing. I would always start with some sort of goblet squat. Now, let's say you're really advanced, the squat feels okay. You can also do a lunge. So a lot of the same principles apply. I'm gonna make sure that I have 3 points of contact with my feet. And I'm gonna make sure that my knee is in the same direction as my foot. So when I step forward in a lunge position, chest is upright, and then I step back. So I can do 3 sets of 10 repetitions on each leg. I can also do this moving. So I can do a walking lunge. I can do a reverse lunge. Right? So all that matters is the movement, so that I'm squatting and I'm lunging and I'm using my entire body. So you keep those principles in mind. Foot placement, knee facing in the same direction as your foot and keeping your torso upright, and that's your squat or your lunge. Next, we're gonna do a vertical press or an overhead press. You're gonna take the weight and just press it straight above your head. If this is the first time you've ever worked out, obviously choose a weight that you can do comfortably and just get a feel for the movement. And I would also say, start with just one dumbbell. Let's just assume that you're doing this at home. Instead of using 2 dumbbells, just use 1 dumbbell. If you have a weaker side or a stronger side, it'll kind of force you to get in tune with that. So do 10 on one side and then 10 on the other side. So common faults I see with people on an overhead press, if they've never worked out before, is you'll see them, they think they're pressing above their head, but they're actually pressing out this way. They literally can't feel that movement pattern. So they can't feel that they're pressing out instead of straight up. The other thing to look for is that you're not arching your back. So a lot of times when people are pressing overhead, they will put their spine in a compromised position trying to force that weight up. So you want to pull your pelvis tucked in, and you want to pull your rib cage down to your pelvis. So instead of having your chest flared out like this, I'm going to pull my rib cage down, and when I do that, I can feel my abs contract, and my abs will serve as kind of a brace for my spine, and then I'm going to press straight above. So you may be wondering, why do we talk about movement patterns instead of specific exercises? And part of that is just to make things simple for you. So an overhead press or vertical press, you can do with 1 dumbbell. You can do with 2 dumbbells. You can do it with a barbell if you have one available, right? These are all vertical presses, and they're all working essentially the same muscles. 1 kettlebell. An advanced move you could do is a push press, but that's basically a vertical press where I use my entire body to press the weight up. The next movement we're gonna do is a vertical pull, or what you'll commonly see in commercial gyms or hotel gyms, a lat pull down machine. This setup's a little different than what you'll typically see, but it's the same thing, it's the movement pattern. So we're gonna take something from overhead and we're gonna pull it vertically toward our body. So I'm gonna set myself up here on the floor. Typically, like I said, hotel gym or standard gym, you'll be sitting in a machine, like a cable machine that's called a lat pull down. So I'm gonna get myself into position here, and I'm gonna pull this bar to the top of my chest. And notice how my elbows are going straight up and down. That's what we want. What we don't want is to swing the elbows back. Look at what that does to my shoulder. See how my shoulder gets forced forward in my hip capsule, or my shoulder capsule? We don't want that. We don't want that shoulder being pushed forward like that. So we want to go elbows straight up and down. And that is your lat pull. This is the complementary movement to the vertical press, or the overhead press that we showed earlier with dumbbells. So we're just gonna take the weight from above, pull down to our chest, and instead of working our deltoids and triceps, we're gonna be working, the reason it's called a lat pull down is you'll be working your lats and your back. So generally, whenever you press something, you wanna pull something in the opposite direction. And so that's why we did a vertical press, and now we're doing a vertical pull. Next, we're gonna do a horizontal push or a chest level push. And we call these by direction. So horizontal press, meaning if I'm standing upright, I'm pushing horizontally. Now, technically, I'll actually be pushing vertically, but that's because I'll be lying down. But think of these in terms of like the standing anatomy. And in that case, this will be a horizontal press. So to get in position, I already have my dumbbells placed here. You want to do that if you're working out on your own, either in a home gym or a hotel gym or something like that. You want to have your dumbbells placed on your bench already. You don't want to be lying down and trying to kind of basically do an arm curl to get the dumbbells into position. So my dumbbells are placed here already. I'm gonna pick these up and swing around to this side of the bench. Sitting down, I'll actually use my legs to kind of kick these into position. Pressing back, head is on the bench, and then I'm gonna press straight up. So this is working my chest and my shoulders and my triceps. So that is correct. I'll show you some incorrect things. Notice how the path of the dumbbells is kind of straight up, right? So a lot of times what will happen with beginners is they'll let these dumbbells tip in and it kind of collapses to their chest. And the reason for that is their joints aren't in an optimal position. If I keep my wrists stacked over my elbows, then that collapse doesn't happen. The other thing you'll see sometimes on this is people will go way too wide and they'll put a lot of stress on their shoulders. And finally, people do a chest press, but they won't fully extend their elbows at the top. See how I'm kind of alligator arming this? You want to get full extension. And that way my triceps get all the work that I'm looking for. Let's say this is my 10th rep. I'll bring these down and I'll actually drop those weights to the side safely. So I recommend either dropping them if you're in a place that allows that. A lot of times gyms won't, so just kind of like know your surroundings. But if a gym allows that, you can safely drop them to the side. Make sure you have a clean floor around you. Or you wanna bring those dumbbells up. What you don't wanna do, and I'll kind of show this to you, what you don't wanna do is to try to control these weights nice and politely to the floor. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's say this is my 10th repetition here. I bring the weights down and then I gently set them down. It's actually dangerous because you're putting a lot of force on your shoulder. You know, you think about your chest is gonna be a lot stronger than just your shoulder. So if I'm taking kind of chest level weights and trying to gently control those, I've seen people hurt their shoulders by being polite in the gym. So I say, if you're in a good barbell gym, drop the weights safely to the side as long as you have a clean floor, or kind of do a sit up with the weights at the end and then put the weights down. But do not try to curl them from the bench. That's your chest press or your horizontal press. Our next exercise is going to be a horizontal pull, or what's commonly called a row. So the horizontal row, we'll do this with a dumbbell bent over on the bench, supporting myself here, nice flat back. We don't want to be hunched like this, but nice flat back. And I want to make sure that I'm using my back muscles here. So I can turn this into just an arm movement, but that's not what I want. I want to use the big muscles in my back to pull that weight up. So one way to think about this is your shoulder blades or your scapula. You actually want those to be pulling back. So that's the movement itself that you're working, is that scapular retraction. So here, squeezing at the top, working my back. You don't want to get too much torso rotation, just the row. And again, you don't want to be hunched in so you don't have room to actually do that pull. So 3 sets of 10 repetitions on each side for symmetry, and you'll be working both your back and your biceps simultaneously. So that is your horizontal pull, or what we call a row. Now that you've seen all the exercises, I want to talk to you briefly about how to put together the number of sets and repetitions you're going to do. Very simple, 3 sets of 10 repetitions for each exercise. You're going to rest for 1 minute to 90 seconds in between each set, and you're going to rest at least 2 minutes in between each exercise. If you put those 5 movement patterns together in one workout, you'll have a full body workout. Again, my name is Jason Harrison from Present Tense Fitness. Thanks for watching.